Good evening. The Valley City Community Group welcomes you to tonight's 2021 Issues and Candidates Night. This is the second of 3 taped sessions, the 2 fire levies, the school board election, and the township trustees elections. You can find links to all 3 at valleycity.org. I'm Gary Peterson. I'll be moderating. In this session, 4 candidates for the 3 open positions on the school board will have 3 minutes to inform us why they want your votes. The candidates' order will be randomly picked. There will be a timer off to the left for the candidates to see and a hand in the air when there are 15 seconds left. After all 4 candidates have presented their cases, questions submitted by you via email will be asked in random order. The first will be basic yes or no questions to all candidates, followed by more detailed questions directed to individuals. The candidates will have 1 minute to respond. Again, Dave will put his hand in the air when there are 15 seconds left. The candidates in alphabetical order are Kim Seselik, John Gerard, Seth Kuyat, Denise Pavarchi. Let's begin. Draw a name and Denise, you're up first.
Okay, the timer is going. My name is Denise Pavarchi, and currently I serve as the president of the Buckeye Board of Education. This is my 2nd year as board president. I'd like to thank the Valley City Community Group for once again hosting this Candidates Night, which is a great event for all of our community. I'd like to first thank my husband and his extreme patience over the past 4 years, as well as my mom, sons, daughters-in-law, and 9 grandchildren. I've missed some important family events due to board obligations. I thank them for their understanding. I retired from Buckeye after 23 years of service. My last 13 years I worked as an administrative assistant, actually a secretary, to the superintendent. I loved working at Buckeye, and I really love serving on the Board of Education. As we all know, globally, the past 2 years have been very difficult for everyone, every family. I'd like to take a chance here to kind of brag about Buckeye. We rose above our neighboring schools. We offered a virtual academy. Approximately 30% of our students and their families chose the virtual option for the first semester. Teaching virtually was not easy for our teachers. It was not easy for our students, but they made it work very successfully. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate the 70% that were in person all but 2 weeks in December, which that was only because Medina County was designated as purple. Our neighboring schools were running hybrid schedules or only virtual classes. Students struggled academically and emotionally. We are so proud of our families, students, teachers, staff for being diligent in keeping themselves safe and healthy, which enabled our district to stay in person for the 2021 school year. Our building custodians stepped way up out of their regular positions to sanitize our buildings every single day, and so our kids would be safe, and our teachers wiped desks. Everyone did a phenomenal job, and I thank them truly from the bottom of my heart. By the 2nd semester, 1/3 of our virtual academy students requested an in-person because they knew the success we were having. After a great summer of 2021, we returned to all-person learning. Only 5 families from Buckeye chose the virtual option offered through Medina County ESC. I have so much more to say, but my time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denise. Next up is Kim.
Hi, my name is Kim Seselik. I have three reasons to run for Buckeye School Board. Number 1, Google Seth Kujak. KU Look up the articles written about United Way. 11 employees can complain about sexist and racist comments with a hostile work environment. Seth is a good friend of Denise. John Gerard was a resource officer when I was on the school board. We were forced to fire an employee for falsification. John was put in charge of our evidence, which was a videotape. The employee decided to civilly sue the school district. I was called by our superintendent to come up and sign an arbitration agreement. When I did, I was informed that John had lost the evidence. We could no longer prove falsification, and the fired employee won the case. The agreement I was asked to sign was basically his buyout, which was well over 6 figures. John was also asked to look into the allegations of misconduct stemming from a video that showed a Buckeye principal downing beer shots while underage Buckeye students cheered him on. John ruled there was no misconduct by the principal, but what was not conveyed was John is a very good friend of the principal and was also at the party. Kent Morgan recommended the renewal of the contract of our curriculum director, Dr. Christine Collins. The president of Buckeye School Teachers Union spoke up for Dr. Collins. Christina could not get 3 votes on our Board of Education to keep her at Buckeye, but received over 221,000 votes when she successfully ran for school board for the state of Ohio. To see the meeting, go to Buckeye School website under the school board archive meetings and look for May 12, 2020 board meeting. Go 30 minutes into the meeting. The vote by the 3 Buckeye board members, including Denise, directly led to our superintendent, Kent Morgan, leaving. It was said he retired. I believe it was a buyout in an effort to cause a huge uproar, not to cause a huge uproar within our community. Kent is working at another job. I was a huge supporter of Kent. I was on the board that hired him. He did the job we hired him to do. Buckeye just hired a brand new position of Director of Student Services. Denise told the superintendent the board wanted it. The position was never posted as an opening to Buckeye employees and never posted outside of Buckeye. In a special meeting, which can be scheduled at any time, all the board members are available, Don Hartwell Kojek was hired with only 3 board members in attendance. At a new salary added to Buckeye of $118,710. One board member was never told about Don to be hired, and there was never a discussion. He was on a family vacation when the vote took place. He found out about Don being hired because a Buckeye employee called him. Denise and Barb are very good friends with Don, which brings us back to Dr. Collins. We were never given a reason why she was terminated. By the way, Denise and Barb are also best friends. It should be about representing our community and shaping our kids' future instead of all about alliances and friendships. I don't think you have to know the day-to-day operations of the school, but you have to have 100% confidence in the people you have elected to the school board.
Thank you, Kim. Next up, Seth.
Thanks. Good evening. My name is Seth Kuyat. I am a proud graduate of Buckeye. I also have 2 kids who attend Buckeye. My wife is a proud Buckeye graduate, along with my father, my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law. I guess you could say I pretty much bleed brown and orange. After graduating from Buckeye, I attended Kent State University, and after graduating from Kent State, I have spent my entire career working to improve the local community, the regional, state, and national communities throughout America. I started with Habitat for Humanity and the Fuller Center for Housing. We built houses, roofed houses throughout America. I then went on to work at the Cleveland Leadership Center, where we worked closely with the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, the Mayor's Office, and other nonprofit organizations to improve the metropolitan Cleveland area. I then had the opportunity to lead the United Way of Medina County. While at the United Way of Medina County, I was guided by a phenomenal board made up of business leaders, school leaders, and other community members. Our focus while I was at United Way of Medina County was to get kids ready for kindergarten, make sure kids are reading on grade level by the end of 3rd grade. We focused on financial sustainability for our Medina County families, meeting their basic needs, and helping them to become as employable as possible. After leaving United Way of Medina County, I worked at an organization where our focus was to help design strategic plans for local school districts, library systems, county boards of DD, and other for-profit and nonprofit organizations. I then was brought on as the vice president of United Way of Summit County, and our focus there was once again heavily related to 3rd grade reading, college and career readiness, financial stability, and addiction and recovery services. My reasons for running for the board are very different than Kim's. My goal is to continue to assure that Buckeye is a place where all members of the community feel safe, are welcomed, inspired, and proud to be called a Buck. I want Buckeye to continue to be a place where students, graduates, have a choice and opportunities to be the absolute best version of themselves. I want our students, our families, and our community members to all feel united under the brown and orange banner, whether times are good, bad, or ugly. And my 4 main focus points as we move forward is, number 1, I want to help continue to grow a phenomenal employee culture by retaining, recruiting, and training great staff members. The second area is I want to make sure that all graduates have the employable skills they need to be successful after graduating from Buckeye. The third is to create a short, mid, and long-term campus and building plans that has our community say in every step of the way. And finally, I want to help maintain our fiscal responsibility and work with our superintendent and treasurer on all things strategic plan related.
Thank you, Seth. That leaves you, John.
Hello, my name's John Gerard. I moved into the Buckeye School District in 2005 after working for the Sheriff's Department for approximately 15 years at the time. 10 years at the time. I worked in the county for the Sheriff's Office for 10 years and knew that I wanted to settle and raise my family in Buckeye. My wife graduated from Brunswick. I graduated from Parma Senior High. In 1996, I was hired at the Sheriff's Office. I'm a United States veteran, served in the Desert Storm and Desert Shield in the United States Navy. I am married with 2 daughters. My oldest daughter graduated from Buckeye last year. She's now at Slippery Rock University in Pennsylvania. My second daughter, who is Cassandra, she just was named to the homecoming court, so that's why I was late, and I apologize for that. She's a senior at Buckeye, and I'm currently assigned to the Detective Bureau. I was in the school from 2015 to 2019 as a school resource officer and dare officer. While I was there, I had the pleasure of working with a lot of the staff at the school. I had the pleasure of interacting with the students, getting to know the daily operations of not only the school, but also the students. I enjoyed my time while I was there. The reason I left was not for any negative influence or anything that I had any issues with. The reason I left is there was an opportunity for myself to work in the Detective Bureau, and that's where I enjoy and that's where I hope to finish my career. Addressing the situation as far as what Ms. Selich brought up as far as the case that she talked about. That case went to trial. The evidence that was used in the trial is still on record. That evidence can be pulled at any time if it need to be. The superintendent at the time, Mr. Kent Morgan, testified in that case, and Assistant Prosecutor Frank Grasso, who is no longer with us, he has passed away from cancer. He was very upset during that case because Mr. Morgan failed to testify to the amount of money that was stolen. He actually on the record said, "I did not know." That, to my feeling, also did not help the case. The case did end up getting a split decision, meaning there was 2 charges. One of the charges ended up being found not guilty, and the other charge was found guilty. What happens after that as far as the appellate course, I didn't follow the case. But the evidence was not lost. I was never told that it was lost. As far as the situation with the principal and the supposed party, there was no way to prove the age of the other students, and that's why there was nothing that we could do or nothing that we could investigate. And I feel that my value to getting onto the school board or being elected to the school board would be safety and security of the staff, the students, and the community.
Thank you, John. And now we'll have some questions directed.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Smallwood. I'm also with the Valley City Community Group, and we're really pleased to have you all here. A couple rules, what we've got, I've got a number of questions here, some of them sent in by people who left their names, some that did not. We went through all the questions. There's a few just for the incumbent, and there's a number of them for the entire slate. And what I'll do is rotate who goes first in the general questions so that one person isn't under fire to have to think fast first all the time. So with that, please try to keep your answers somewhat under a minute if we can. We will allow some sort of a rebuttal, perhaps a short one. No questions, no attacks, and we don't want to be here until 10 o'clock. So with that, I will start out with an incumbent question, just to make it easy. What is the enrollment today, Denise, of the school district? It also seems to be increasing every year. And are we nearing a maximum level in any of our schools to where we have to start thinking about new buildings or expanding?
Well, Dave, our enrollment actually is not. I found the last number that I received from our central office is we have 2,200 and some change for students enrolled at Buckeye. The FCC, which is the, let me get their name just right so I'm not corrected here. The Ohio OFCC, the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, actually came in and did a presentation to the board in early 2018. And by their measure, they had indicated that our growth as a district, our numbers were going to go down. Now, I know our superintendent has asked the OFCC to come back and do another study at their cost to see what our numbers will be because of the additional housing that has been popping up here and there. So right now, our numbers are lower than they were when I worked at Buckeye in 2014.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to an all-candidate question. Again, an easy one. We'll start with Kim. Do you have any kids in the Buckeye schools?
No, I have a son that graduated in 2018. He's a senior at Ashland University.
Okay. John?
I do. My youngest daughter is a senior at Buckeye right now.
Seth?
Yes, I have two kids. My son's in 5th grade and my daughter's in 4th grade.
God bless you. And Denise?
I do not have children in the district, but I have 8 grandchildren, all at the elementary school.
Okay, thank you. All right. We'll start with John on this one. And this question came, we got this in from 4 different people. Pretty much the same words, but the meaning is pretty clear. Do you believe we should have a mask mandate? If no, are there any circumstances you believe that we should have one?
I don't believe in mandates. I believe the community can decide if it comes to a point where there's a lot of people deciding that they want to go with some sort of a mask requirement. I believe it would be a good idea like the school board did last year or the year before as far as voting on that.
Okay. Seth?
Well, I think the school board, the superintendent, and the staff did a great job last summer planning for parents to have some type of an option when there was, in essence, a mask mandate in order to attend the facilities. My two kids and my wife and I made the decision to have them attend. We encourage our kids to wear masks, but it's primarily because they're heavily involved in sports and extracurricular activities. And we know that if they're in school this year and they have a mask on, the quarantine, if needed, is either doesn't happen or it's not needed, rather. I'm along the lines with John. I believe if there is a mask mandate, there has to be a good option of as good or better than a kid attending school. The virtual option has to be just as good. And I also think you have to follow the health care professionals, the CDC, the health department. I'm not an educator, I'm not a scientist or a medical professional, but I am willing to take advice and process that and make decisions with the superintendent.
Okay, very good. Denise?
Well, we have had several discussions, and I said at our last board meeting, Mr. Harrison has certainly received more calls from me than I'm sure he would like, to discuss this. And I was torn. I really didn't know where to go. Truly, no one likes putting a mask on. I have 8 grandchildren in the building. As far as I know, all 8 wear masks, and they all have their own reason for wearing masks. So, like Seth said, if there are other activities that would keep them from being able to attend, or academics, then the kids wear the masks. I know high school students, the number has really escalated for wearing masks. I really am not one to say, yes, let's put on the mask no matter what. So I take the superintendent's recommendation, and I take it seriously, because he meets weekly with the other county superintendents and Krista Wazowski, who is the Medina County Health Department commissioner. And that's what we have to listen to.
Okay.
And that's really how we function.
Thank you. Kim?
I work in healthcare. I work at the Cleveland Clinic, Medina Hospital. So I've been with the COVID since it started day one. And I know it's real, and I know that people are really, really, really sick from it. I think the most important job of the school board and the schools are to educate the kids. The second most important job is to keep the kids safe. As far as we want to make sure that the kids are staying in school, the kids are staying safe. I thought we were at the end of the pandemic, and unfortunately, through the Cleveland Clinic, we're in the middle of it. It's revving back up again. So masks, as a healthcare worker, we've worn them from day one. We wear them every single day. We have no choice. They work. It's just plain science. If the numbers keep going up, the kids are going to have to wear masks, or else they're going to be back at home, which nobody wants them back at home. It's much healthier for them to be in school with everybody else. Thank you.
Okay. This next question goes to all candidates, and we'll start with Seth. This is from Paula, and I apologize if I don't pronounce the last name. It's Wojus from Lake Dawn Drive. What program or programs should be instituted in the schools that are not there now? Seth, you're up.
Well, Paula, it's a good question. I'm not in the school buildings every day, but I do hear stories from my kids. I've been working with local community leaders for many years, and I'm gonna say it's not an academic program, but I will throw out 2 programs. One may be related to soft skills, employable skills. building relationships with local employers to get them involved in that. And then the second one would be related to just social and emotional health. Programs designed to get kids engaged, to get them to feel inspired, to get them to understand what's happening in their minds, in their hearts, so that we can not just focus on a strong academic report card, but making sure kids have opportunities through programs to be socially and emotionally healthy as well.
Okay, thank you. Kim? Or Denise?
Well, I also do agree that I'm not sure that it's classes that we offer, but I do believe that we need to provide professional development opportunities and extended training for our staff members related to social, emotional, and mental health needs, so that our staff, our teachers can more deeply understand I guess it would be the dynamics between home life and school life. Because I think for some kids, unfortunately, there's a deep divide. Kids come to school, and I truly hope that for most of them, it's pretty easy. They flow right into school from home, but for some kids, it is not. And I think we need something to that effect that helps the kids who cannot come into the school like maybe the other 15, 20 kids in their class.
Okay, thank you. Kim?
I'm going off of pretty much what Seth said. Cloverleaf is doing a job fair, and I've thought for years that we should do a job fair. When the kids are in junior high, I believe it's 8th grade, they do a real world, and it's really fun to watch because the kids have they get chosen to have kids, what job they're going to take, and how much they're going to make, and then they come to each station and they buy diapers, they buy food, they buy whatever they need to live, rent, and it's amazing that the kids are really worried about food for their kids. That's the biggest thing. They don't care about childcare, they don't care about diapers, but they're really interested in the food. I want to see that in the high school. I want to see our kids that are graduating, not all of them are going to college, not all of them have a set plan. A lot of them are lost in between. If we had these, like the industries that are in Medina that are looking for work, we could have these kids talk to them. We could teach them how to fill out an application. We could teach them how to, get ready for a job, what you should wear, stuff like that. We need to get these kids ready for the real world because we're just kind of dumping them out when they're 18, and sometimes they're not ready for it.
Okay, thank you. John?
I agree with both Seth and Mrs. Selwich. When I was at Buckeye as the school resource officer, I had the pleasure of working with the staff doing the real world program, and with my kids that went through it, they enjoyed it. There are that percentage of children or students that do leave Buckeye that don't know what they're going to do, and I understand that because I remember when I was in high school, it's a difficult decision. But one of the things that I remember when I first started at Buckeye in 2015 is they were phasing out in-class or in-person health. And I guess it's kind of old school, but I think that a lot of students miss out on having an actual teacher teaching them health. It's I believe online now, and I believe a lot of that is the students just wait till the end of that semester or quarter that they have to complete it and hurry up, rush through it, and they don't retain anything. I'm not an educator, but I did teach DARE for the 4 years I was there. It's a difficult job being an educator. I could not imagine doing the same thing, teaching the same classes all the time, and dealing with all the issues, mental issues, sometimes mental health issues with the students. But having health teacher there in the school, I remember my health teacher when I went to high school. It's almost like somebody that you can go and speak to outside of just a counselor. Sometimes if you're having some kind of issues at home, whether it be at home with home life or it's just one more person that is a little bit more intimate as far as your personal life.
Thank you. All right, this next question, Denise?
I will say, John, we've had board discussion, and I believe, not positive, and we can double check that, I do believe that we have offered in-person health classes this year for students who choose that. I'm not 100% positive on that,
Okay.
but I think that was definitely a discussion, and I believe we're kind of going back to that because they saw the issues with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Denise, you're up on this one, and this is not a 1-minute answer
Okay.
when you hear the question, but please try, this is one of those, boy, we could talk all night.
Okay.
What do you see as the greatest challenge for the Buckeye schools in the coming future?
Well, right now, in the big picture, this probably doesn't fit, but right now, we are having, like nationally, everyone is having, we need workers. Every corner you see out there, everywhere, especially in the service industry, you see help wanted signs. And we right now have a shortage of teacher substitutes in our support staff, and also in our bus drivers. Right now, our bus supervisor drives every single day. And we need to get more folks who will drive bus. And I spoke to Mr. Harrison about this, and Mr. Harrison said if I can get that out there, if anyone is interested in driving bus, Buckeye will train them, and Buckeye will absorb the cost of training, because we need the drivers. Because I know we have a long drop-off and pickup line, and that is very difficult for the working parents. So at this very moment, it is definitely a shortage of workers. In the long term, I don't think we have problems, because we do have a strategic plan, and we can talk about that later.
Okay, Kim?
I think, obviously, the whole country, it has a shortage of workers, so that is definitely a problem. I think long-term, we're going to have to replace our schools. The high school's probably the first one. When I was on the board, we started talking about that. There's Denise touched on it just a minute ago. It's the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission funding. When we decide to build a new school, they're going to give us 29 cents for every dollar that we spend. I read an article about Cloverleaf that it's building. Cloverleaf is as close to us as possible. They actually only have 100 more students, which I thought they had more. They're building a new high school, which I've been to their high school. I didn't think it was bad, but they're going to spend $40 million in the next 2 years. They're not going to go out for any type of levy money or any type of extra money for the community. What they're working on is the Nexus. Who knows what's going to happen with that money? They were supposed to get $7.4 million. That's easily cut in half. We're getting about $1.2 million. That money can be set aside. I most certainly think that we don't need to go out and get a new levy. I was told by a parent that there's a plan to build a new soccer stadium, and then we're going to move everything around. I don't think we can move the soccer stadium. I think we have obligation to the person that donated the money to keep us at the soccer stadium. So I wouldn't want the soccer stadium moved. The plan would be for the soccer stadium to go probably back where the soccer fields are. They're going to move the football field to the soccer stadium and then build a new school where the football field is. If you can imagine how much money that's going to cost to move all the stands that we just put up, I'm looking fiscally to try and not go back to the voters for any type of more money.
John,
I believe in the long term,
go ahead, John.
in the long term, it would be the facilities. I was asked to be on the committee with the other 80 people. We had a meeting the other day, and it was very interesting with the Ohio, with the state funding. It would probably make sense to do that, but again, it's a large decision because obviously the junior high would have to be replaced, and if we're gonna spend that kind of money, $40 or $50 million on a new high school, it would make sense to have a high school and middle school combination. North Olmsted, I believe, just did that several years ago, and we're about that size, maybe a little smaller. We definitely need to look at different options, and you know, our community we have industry in Liverpool Township. There's large companies that are based out of Liverpool Township that could maybe invest or put their name on a soccer complex or a new football stadium. But that's down the road, because obviously the state is going to not fund any money for any of the sports events. They're only going to do it for academics.
Seth?
Greatest challenge for the district. I think, I mean, it's a little different than what the colleagues up here, candidates up here said, but I think our greatest challenge is really related to staff. Our superintendent, our treasurer, our athletic director, our principals, both, veteran principals and new principals, parents like them. They would make great candidates for other districts. And our greatest challenge is to support them daily, weekly, monthly, annually, to make sure that they want to be here and grow and implement the strategic plan of this district. That strategic plan is going to involve athletics, extracurricular, academic. It's going to involve facilities. And as a board member, I don't see my job being to do day-to-day in the weeds work. It is to make sure that the superintendent and treasurer have what they need to have a great staff that is all moving in the same direction. And I think that's our greatest challenge. Keep the great people we have working for the district and find more.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving, Kim, you're up here next. How would you communicate or improve communications with the public from the schools?
I was on the board when I first got on the board, it was Mr. Williams, and he did a good job conveying. He got on Facebook and he would answer questions. Kent Morgan was very good at, very personable, and would answer anybody's question. If they called him, emailed him or anything, he would return their calls immediately. I'm not sure, with the new superintendent, I know nothing about him. I think it's very important to be transparent, to let people know what's going on. Board meetings, they're the same time, but we have to make sure that the people know. And unfortunately, social media is about the best course as far as letting people know what's going on in the district.
Okay, John?
Same question. My children that went to Buckeye last year, my oldest and my youngest, that's there now. Communication, I don't see it as being a problem. Now, if it's for people that don't have children in the district anymore and they're not on the call list or the email list, that might be something that could be addressed if they want to have some sort of a public list from the school, an email list that they can click on and be a part of. But if your children are in the district, I do not see a communication issue at all. I get text messages, we get emails almost daily with the bus situation that they have right now, which is understandable with the work crisis in the country. But as far as communication, I guess it would be community members give us suggestions of what they want.
Okay, thank you. Seth?
There's probably communication issues and concerns at every district in the entire country. I think, to John's point, I get phone calls, text messages about busing current situations, about COVID, health and safety situations. But I'm a parent, and my kids are involved. My wife's involved. I kind of expect that to happen. I think that the key is going to be you've got to adjust your communication tactics and forms of communication based on the target population you're trying to reach. Older adults in the community who may not see any reason to be involved in the school district need to be communicated one way. Graduates and alumni need to be communicated maybe another way. But I think overall right now, the way that parents are being communicated with related to students and day to day is pretty phenomenal. And there's kind of a running joke with some of my circle around the school bus communications, but you've got to overly communicate on the issues parents are concerned about. And that's happening, and I tell them it's better to be communicated to than wonder what's going on, why your student's being dropped off 40 minutes late.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. Denise?
Absolutely. I do agree that our parents are receiving great communication. I see it as a board member. I get the communications. I get the texts, the calls, the emails. I get all of that. However, there is a group, and I think it's a very large group of folks who, and that's part of the 3-year strategic plan. Goal 1, communication, internal and external. We have folks right here in this room who don't have children in the district, they don't have grandchildren in the district. I have my mother who is in her 80s, I won't say her age, and she is not, she can't go on the computer and pick up emails and see what's going on in the district. So unless it's in the Gazette, she's not seeing. And the Gazette, because we have a low readership, we're not Medina, Highland, Wadsworth. We're not getting front page news a lot of time. So she's not seeing all the great things that are going on at Buckeye. So I think she's left, that group is a little bit left out. Now, folks in their 50s, 60s, 70s, perhaps they've become a little bit more understanding of technology, and they can get on and understand and get the notices. But it's that group, and I think they need to, and I will be gladly a part of that group to try to target them.
Okay. Denise, I'm going to stay with you for one more incumbent question briefly. Is there a 5 or 10-year plan for the district that includes buildings and student population?
Yes. We actually have
there's more?
Yeah. We actually have a 3-year strategic plan, and the strategic plan is very encompassing. We have 6 major goals and objectives that we want to, well, what we've done is we've already put it out there. Mr. Harrison has assigned our administrators to work through these goals and to get teachers to be on board. You know, we need folks who are going to buy in on this. And we have people that buy in. And I can tell you, you can stop at the board office, pick these up. I have many copies. They're not the same, so I can't hand them out. They're all different. But we have, it is just starting. It's in the beginning phases. Right now, the Facilities Commission, right now, if you go on, and I hope people write this down, the Facilities Core Committee has been established. From the Core Committee, which involved some community, I think it was only 12 or 16 individuals, those members now have expanded and have one meeting, and it's the Facility Advisory Committee. That's a committee of about between 60 and 80, and he's inviting more people. If you're interested, go on the main page of Buckeye, buckeyeschools.org, and scroll down. You'll find the facilities roadmap. It's just down a little ways. You'll find the link to email Mr. Harrison. Let him know you're interested. There's only one meeting a month, and he keeps the meetings to an hour and a half. It's not like you're gonna be there till all hours of the night. He keeps it, he keeps the integrity of the meeting very sharp. It's
Okay,
an
good.
hour and a half.
Thank you. We're going to move to Seth. This was an anonymous question that came in actually from two people. Do you believe a board member should deal with issues directly with administrators, teachers, staff, or coaches instead of going through the superintendent?
No. No, I don't think the board's job is to try to work and solve issues that are below the authority of the superintendent or the treasurer. So my short answer is, I believe teachers should be the first place to go for parent concerns. If there's issues with teachers, principals would be the next stop. If there's issues with spending or something that's related to budget or improvements, the treasurer can handle that. And then the superintendent is there for a reason, and that is to work with his staff to solve problems. It would be up to the superintendent to bring something to the board's attention, and then the board would deal with that as needed based on what the superintendent would like to see.
Okay, good. Janice? It's your turn to answer the same question.
I'm sorry.
Would you like me to, all right.
Please.
Do you believe a board member should deal with issues directly with administrators,
Absolutely not.
teachers, staff, coaches, or instead of going through the
No,
superintendent?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. The board, and it's misunderstood in a lot of ways, and I know I ramble, but the board has a few jobs that we do, and that is we hire the superintendent and the treasurer. We set policy for the district, and then we serve as a liaison between the community and the district, and that is really the superintendent and the treasurer. We don't go to the teacher, the athletic director, or the superintendent, or the principal.
Okay.
That's not our role,
Thank you. Kim?
ever.
The superintendent is hired to handle all of that. That's his job, to deal with any of that. He will let us know if there's a problem, and then that becomes something that we have to deal with. It certainly can go up. When I was on the board, I've certainly gotten a lot of emails from parents that have had problems, and I would go directly to the superintendent and discuss if there was a problem or not.
Okay. John?
I also agree, it's not the position of a school board member. When I was at the school as a school resource officer, there were a few situations that some of the staff members were feeling some pressure, or if you want to say heat from us, from one of the board members. I felt that was greatly unfair. As a school resource officer while I was at the district, or at the schools, I was not an employee of the school district. I was still an employee of the sheriff's office. I was there as the school resource officer to assist and provide a resource. I was never wanted to, never was involved in any school discipline or any of those kind of decisions. I believe it would be the same aspect of a school board member.
Okay. The next one from Mary Jo Morgan, lives on Station Road. and I had to summarize this a bit. It was a long question. There's a trend in education where teachers are discovering the science behind reading. It worries me that kindergartners who attend an all-day program do not have access to music, art, or physical education classes. These classes are also available to other kindergartners in other Medina County schools. Can we make these age-appropriate activities available for our kindergartners? And Denise, you're up first on that easy one.
Well, we run a pretty darn lean district, and our specials teachers, and that would be phys ed, music, and art, that time is not in their daily schedule to do that. I know that our kindergarten teachers are taking out that block of time and they're teaching the kids, and they're doing some physical education, they're doing some art, and they're doing some music with the kids. They're getting some on the side help from those teachers, but for us to do that, we would have to hire additional staff, and we run things pretty lean. So no, we're not able fiscally.
Kim?
I didn't know that they weren't doing that. When my son was in school, it was a half day. I know it's only become a full day recently. I know for a fact that the teachers, like Denise just said, they do art with the kids. They take them outside. They do different types of activities with them. I think it certainly could be worked into their day. If somebody came into the classroom to teach them art, something like that.
Okay. John?
I'm not an educator. When my daughters were in the elementary schools, I know they did have art, but as far as in kindergarten, I don't recall. I know that state testing takes up a large block of time throughout the school district. When I was teaching there, it did make things sometimes difficult to schedule classes because of state testing, so I don't know if that's something that has to be looked at as well.
Okay. Seth?
I mean, my short answer is yes. I think kindergartners especially should get a well-rounded education, no matter if they're 5 years old or 6 years old. I also think, there's conversations throughout the state and the nation around, the earlier we can start helping kids learn how to read, the better. And districts are talking about universal pre-K. And how do you potentially start teaching kids at the age of 4 years old? Fiscally, to Denise's point, you have a budget for a reason, and money's not growing on any trees in the district. And if the community did feel the need to improve how kindergartners are being taught, then that'd be a conversation that the board and the community would have to have around how do we pay for it. But I think the short answer is yes, kindergartners, and I'm sure the teachers would agree, kindergartners need to be active. And to John's point, state and federal mandates are a real thing, and curriculum directors have to deal with that as well.
Okay, thank you. Last question. Do you think it's a good idea to meet with the school district trustees that are involved in the district to discuss strategic planning both for the schools and the townships together? Kim?
When I was on the school board, we had one meeting. John Stahl was a big advocate to get the other districts involved. So we had a meeting at Buckeye with Medina County Schools. Never had any meetings with the trustees. I believe we might have had them stop in once or twice. But I think it's a fantastic idea. I think anytime you can consolidate as far as the school districts, all the Buckeye school districts, we've already worked with, as far as ice, putting the ice down in the salt down in the winter, buying a big load, buying consolidated, buying buses all together, buying 10 buses in each district, taking 2 of them. Anytime we can all work together, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Okay. John?
I think involving as many people as we can, other elected officials, and also business owners. We have some headquarters that are right here in Liverpool Township that, if you bring business owners in, have them come up with ideas or ways that they can invest in the community. I mean, they have their businesses here and, they want the community to flourish just like we do. And what's our best asset in the community is our children. So if they could help reinvest their businesses in our community, in our schools, I think business owners could also help as long as, we work with them as well.
Seth?
I'd like to think that some of these meetings are already happening. I'm sure the superintendent would say that he's meeting with a lot of people that are running businesses, involved in other districts, and are leading the townships and leading the chambers of commerce. But as far as board's responsibility, I think one of our main responsibilities is to be a liaison to the community. Business owners, other elected officials, other government departments, other districts, keeping our eye out for great ideas, listening more than we're talking, and finding out, from a tax perspective, what are townships doing, what are they envisioning, because ultimately the superintendent sees when companies are coming into town. The townships are seeing the same companies coming into town, and schools are obviously funded by taxes, and if we can help find ways to increase revenue for the schools by inviting businesses in and working in a more partnership way with townships, then I'd be all for it.
Okay. Denise?
Absolutely. It is ongoing. I do know that Mr. Harrison invited all of our township trustees as well as business leaders to the first meeting. John, you were there. What was it, the 22nd of September? It was the first meeting of the facilities outside of the core group. This is the much larger group. And I think it's great. I think we should partner with our local townships, regional organizations, as well as the Career Center even. And we get stronger purchasing power for items that we all purchase. We're all purchasing pretty much the same thing. And if we can do that, that is a feather in everyone's cap. So I am all for it. It's just getting those folks together to meet. And if that can happen, that's fantastic.
Okay. I want to thank you all very much for being here. I spent 10 years on a school board, so I know how long discussions can go on funding, policies, academics, and so on. So we don't have that kind of time, but I will tell the public that all the answers that you heard today certainly may elicit new questions. So if you want to go to valleycity.org and send us those questions, we will try to funnel those to the candidates, and maybe they can finish an answer, lengthen an answer, or maybe explain something better that you didn't understand quite. So
Sure.
we will be happy to get things to you if they come in and as they come in. But again, thank you very, very much for being here. Very important meeting. So thank you
Thank you.
and good night.
very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.